I was born in 1989. I'm 36 years old and I'll be 37 next month. I've never been married, never had children, and I don't even have a partner. In many people's eyes, I'm an unwanted leftover woman of an older age. At this point, no one is introducing me to potential matches anymore. As I get older, the number of friends around me also decreases. People become more and more lonely, life grows increasingly dull, with nothing to look forward to and no sense of direction. While my parents are still around, at least I have a home. But once they're gone, I won't even have that. Not even a source of emotional support. When I get sick, minor illnesses can be treated with a simple medicine. But for serious illnesses, I'd have to drag my weakened body alone to the hospital, queue up, register, and see a doctor. If I ever needed surgery, I wouldn't even have anyone to sign the consent form. I'm growing more and more afraid. Nowadays, it's marriage that needs women, not women who need marriage. Why do we say this? Because in the past, marriage was a means of survival for many women. They had no way to support themselves in society, so marriage became their way to live. But now, are there still women who can't support themselves? Surviving through marriage simply doesn't exist anymore. Whether or not to get married is no longer a necessity for women. It's become a choice. And because women naturally have reproductive value, if they want to have children, they can do it on their own. But if a man wants biological children, he can only do so through a woman. Currently, the most mainstream way for men to gain reproductive rights is still through marriage. So, it's human nature that needs marriage. And marriage that needs women. Women may only need marriage to share the burden of raising children with a partner. But if a man can't take responsibility, contribute value, or co-parent the child, then to the woman he has no value. In that case, entering marriage becomes a bad deal for the woman, and entirely meaningless. It's always been said that there are too many single men in China. But surprisingly, there are even more single women. In today's dating market, the gender ratio is seriously imbalanced. Take the recent matchmaking events held in Shenzhen and Nanjing as examples. On average, one man can be matched with 50 women, and then he picks and chooses from those 50 to find the one he likes most. Because of this gender imbalance, many matchmaking agencies now only charge high fees to women, while men can attend for free. Men have become a scarce resource in the dating market. But what's strange is that people often say there are over 35 million more single men than single women in China. Single men are everywhere, and those who can find a wife are considered top tier. A large number of women spend whatever money they earn on themselves, calling it self-love. And if there's no 1,314 yuan transfer, no LV or Chanel, no candlelit dinner, it's considered not love. Every yuan spent is now equated with how much someone loves you. Over time, this has created an illusion. On the surface, it seems like women's social status has improved, but in reality, they've been put on such a high pedestal that every woman believes she deserves the very best. And anything less than constant pampering feels unacceptable. Another culprit behind the collapsing marriage rate is social media love gurus. They love using gender conflict for traffic. Yesterday they tell women, if a man won't pay the bride price, he's trash. Today they tell men, if she asks for the bride price, she's a gold digger. Better stay single than be a simp. Some of today's young women have become morally bankrupt. They've lost all sense of boundaries. I honestly don't know what kind of parents are raising so many shameless girls. These days, the number of so-called toxic women far exceeds that of toxic men, by 10 times, even 100 times, and that wouldn't be an exaggeration. You think I sound harsh? You might be offended at first, but once you understand what's happening across 2 generations, you might want to hold your anger and hear me out. Just yesterday I saw a video with over 200,000 likes. It talked about a 19-year-old girl, to be more accurate, a typical green tea girl, who used an older man to get an apartment, and now she's trying to get 1 million yuan out of him. The man even promised he would give it to her, but she hasn't received anything yet. So this 19-year-old girl turns to an emotional coach, asking for advice, how to get the money quickly. And this type of video? Over 200,000 likes. What kind of mindset do these 200,000 people have? 200,000 shameless faces. The comment section was full of, "I want to get rich. I want to target a sugar daddy." Honestly, I found it disgusting. Then I clicked into the live stream. There were 1,000 to 2,000 young women flooding the screen saying, "I want to be a toxic woman. I want to make money," like they were possessed. Even more shocking were some women in their 30s reflecting in the comments, saying they're over 30 and still not living as well as a 19-year-old, regretting that their own tricks and skills aren't as effective as those of a little green tea girl. Many were already signing up for courses to start learning. This level of scheming, I honestly have no words. Compared to these toxic women, so-called toxic men are amateurs at best. Tell me, when have you ever seen a live stream full of over 1,000 toxic men learning techniques or manipulation strategies? You won't find one anywhere on the internet. When have you ever seen a video about manipulation tactics get 100,000 or 200,000 likes from men? We used to talk about rejecting toxic motivational quotes. But looking back now, those aren't the most dangerous thing. What's even more poisonous is the complete loss of shame among this new wave of women. I find it very absurd. Many girls have already realized that not getting married leads to a better, easier life. They've started buying their own cars, their own houses, and living independently. Meanwhile, many boys are still stuck on whether or not they should pay a few tens of thousands in bride price. The other day, I saw a male content creator saying that his parents wanted to give him 300,000 yuan as a down payment to buy a house. But he refused, because accepting that 300,000 would mean he'd be responsible for his parents' future care. It would mean his life would be tied down. So he'd rather rent, earn his own money and spend it freely, and he's still quite happy. So you see, even when it comes to similar situations, boys understand things quite clearly from their perspective too. That's why I increasingly feel that those people constantly shouting about resisting bride prices are just self-entertaining. They're misleading the conversation, acting like women are unwilling to marry just because the bride price isn't high enough. But the truth is, many women today are choosing not to enter marriage. Thanks to the internet, which has allowed us to enjoy the biggest dividends of this era. It's helped us see the truth about marriage before ever being married or having kids. Many men still dream of living like their fathers. But in reality, a lot of them can't even afford to support a family. Yet they still fantasize about some woman loving them in poverty, willingly having their children, taking care of their food, clothing, and daily needs. But today many women are no longer willing to live the same life their mothers lived.